What is up, everyone? Welcome to kind of this mini episode of the Camper Report. I'm recording live. Also, obviously, as you guys know, I'm on the road in North Carolina visiting some family. So I just wanted to come in here and quickly say I'm going to talk about something that's been on my mind for really a few weeks now. It's been a topic that I've wanted to talk to you guys about, and now that I have some time, I'm going to talk for a few minutes on this topic. The topic of today will be coaches in college that will be NFL coaches in 2024. So NFL head coaches, I should have specified that in the banner, but NFL head coaches in 2024. Um, some of two. So I'm going to talk on three coaches. There's quite a few coaches that could be NFL coaches in 2024 from college, but I want to touch on three specific coaches, and two of them actually have already coached at some level in the NFL. So let's get right into it. The first guy that I want to talk about, and obviously before I start, coaches in college, the pipeline from coaches in college and coaches in the NFL, like the college coaches have been a lot less lately elected for NFL head coaching positions. And what I mean by that is a lot of times NFL head coaching positions are filled by other head coaching guys around the league, other head coaches around the league. They have friends or assistant coaches that they've brought in and they've developed, and those type of guys end up becoming head coaches. So college coaches in college, they're it used to be where a lot of college coaches got NFL head coaching jobs if they had success, but now it's a lot less like that. It's more NFL head coaches are hired by who they know in the NFL, and what is their resume, and what jobs have they done in the NFL to secure that head coaching position. So coaches in college don't have as much of an opportunity to become head coaches in the NFL, if you guys know what I mean. But the first guy that I wanted to talk on is Jim Harbaugh. This is a guy, coached for 3 seasons with the 49ers, obviously got fired after a few seasons after having a really, really, really good stretch with the Niners of 3 seasons. He made one NFC championship game, one Super Bowl, two NFC championship games, and one Super Bowl. 4 seasons. He had 4 seasons with the Niners, but 3 out of the 4 seasons, he made it at least to the NFC championship game. And so he's a guy who went to Michigan in 2015. He spent 8 seasons there, has gone 74-25. And the big thing really with Jim Harbaugh and all college, really all football fan in general knows that the thing that Jim Harbaugh for the longest time could never get past is he could never beat Ohio State. Well, the last 2 seasons, Jim Harbaugh has beaten Ohio State with a wide margin. This guy has blown Ohio State out both at Michigan, and he's also blown them in Ohio State. Like last year, Ohio State lost in their home stadium and they got destroyed. It was like 42-25 or 24 or whatever. So he has handily beat Ohio State for the last 2 years, which is something for the first 6 years of his college career he could never do. And he was about to get fired from Michigan, but he's kind of resurrected his career by rebranding himself. I mean, the last 2 seasons, they had some average seasons, 9-3, 8-4 seasons with Michigan, but the last 2 seasons, he's really been on the rise as Michigan's head coach. In 2021, 11-1, and in 2022, 12-0. He went undefeated. And so in that's regular season, obviously, but he's obviously considered already some jobs. Last year in 2022, the Vikings, actually, he had a interview with the Vikings, turned the job. He was actually never offered the job, but he had an interview with the Vikings. So he's had a few interviews, a few obviously opportunities already to kind of sign with a few different NFL teams, and obviously the Vikings was one of them. But this is a guy who the talent he has obviously this last year, Michigan was one of the top recruiting teams. So he's bringing in top end talent. Players want to play for him. I mean, he's got guys on his team like JJ McCarthy, quarterback JJ McCarthy, the starting quarterback for Michigan, is next year, if he declares for the draft, he is going to be considered one of the top quarterbacks in the 2024 NFL draft. So JJ McCarthy. Then he's got Blake Corum, running back Blake Corum, who was a Heisman candidate last year for Michigan. And then he's got one of the best running back actual tandems. He's got, obviously, like I said, Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards, another top running back. And then he's got Will Johnson. And according to PFF, he obviously was a 5-star recruit last year. But this is the impressive stat. So Will Johnson, obviously, coming off of his freshman year, had a breakout freshman year as a 5-star recruit for Michigan. But this guy started, cornerback Will Johnson started 5 games, and he had a PFF ranking of 91.1, which led all recruits in his class. So Will Johnson, obviously a talented cornerback. And so my point is Jim Harbaugh has the talent on his team. He recruits well every single year. And the last 2 years, he's really been able to rebrand his culture, rebrand what he does. He's moved from more of a compact ground and pound game to a spread offense where they spread it out a lot more, they throw the ball a lot more, and they rely a lot more on speed instead of really the big thing with Michigan is they have a nice blend of power and speed and everything else. So he's a guy who he won a national championship at Stanford, coached in the NFL for a few years, has a brother in the NFL. His system works. He's coached at both levels, and he has talent on his team. Without further ado, my top landing spots. I think Jim Harbaugh, the last 2 seasons, he's had coaching interviews, and he's kind of turned them down. He's turned those teams down. He had obviously won with the Vikings, and then I believe the year before it was maybe with the Vikings as well, when Kevin O'Connell, because this was Kevin O'Connell's first year, and the year before they hired Kevin O'Connell, but they also, so basically 2 seasons in a row, he was interviewed as the Vikings head coaching position. My thing is with Jim Harbaugh is this is a matter of time before he gets hired as a head coach. And this is why the possible teams for him are the Vikings, which I feel like with Kevin O'Connell, if he doesn't make it work this year, if he doesn't at least get past the first round of the playoffs, they're going to fire him, I believe, with Kevin O'Connell. So the Vikings are still always on the table. And I feel like with a guy like Jim Harbaugh, he doesn't want to go to it. I mean, I had one of my possible teams as Arizona. I feel like with a guy like Jim Harbaugh, he doesn't want to go to a team like Arizona because he doesn't want to rebuild a team from scratch. He's going to go to a team where they still have a decent core group. And yes, they're not like super big Super Bowl contenders, but they could be in like a few years. The Arizona Cardinals are very far off from that. So I don't think he's going to. So that really leaves me with 2 teams that he could possibly go to after this year. So obviously we mentioned the Vikings, Kevin O'Connell. If he doesn't get past the first round of the playoffs this year, if he doesn't make at least somewhat of a run in the playoffs this year with the Vikings, that's a team. But another team that came to mind, and this is a mystery why this coach really didn't get fired already, Brandon Staley of the Chargers. Brandon Staley, this is another team just like the Vikings where they have the talent to make a deep playoff push. If they do not, I could see Brandon Staley from the Chargers being out after this year. So, and here's the thing with Jim Harbaugh. Who better to coach than Justin Herbert, one of the league's best quarterbacks, top 5, and an array of talent? They just got Quentin Johnson from TCU, who shredded Michigan in the college football playoffs. And they still have Mike Williams. They still have Keenan Allen. They still have Austin Eckler. So a lot of talent and a lot of things to work with. So Chargers and Vikings, possibly Raiders as well, because the Raiders are a team that, don't hire any coach from from Bill Belichick's branch. The Raiders have obviously Mike McDaniels, and they're not doing too. Josh McDaniels. Sorry, Josh McDaniels. The Raiders have Josh McDaniels. They're not doing too hot. They're not doing too hot at all. And so that's a team where if Josh McDaniels, that's a team where Josh McDaniels should have probably been out after this year as well. But that's a team where the Raiders, if Josh McDaniels doesn't at least make it to the playoffs, he could be out as well. And that's a team where there's a lot of talent on that team. So my three teams for them are Vikings, Chargers, and Raiders. All three teams with a decent amount of talent and that could get to the Super Bowl within the first few years of him becoming a head coach, because it has a nice core group of players. But moving on to the next guy that this is a guy that's had a lot of success the last 2 years, just like Jim Harbaugh. Both years that Michigan has been good, this guy has been even better. Kirby Smart from Georgia. All football fans have really heard of him. He obviously was Nick Saban's understudy, was an assistant coach for Nick Saban at Alabama for quite a few years. And then when Nick Saban had his brief stint with the Dolphins, when Nick Saban had his brief stint with the Dolphins, Kirby Smart came over to the Dolphins in 2006 and became a safeties coach. So not to harbor on that too much, but he's another NFL coach, well, somewhat of an NFL coach that could make a return. Again, his talent, he's obviously the head coach of Georgia. They've won 2 national championships. His talent is unmatched. I mean, he's a guy who brings in loads of talent each year and really has been an incredible coach at Georgia. And again, he's one of those coaches where he's accomplished all he's had to accomplish at the college level. Maybe Kirby Smart gives it another run in the NFL. And the thing that is most impressive is Kirby Smart has the ability to he has the coaching style to succeed in the NFL. The thing with Kirby Smart is that this guy, he doesn't play a spread offense like a lot of college coaches like to play. And spread offenses usually don't work too well in the NFL. He likes to play that he likes to run the ball a ton with Georgia, and he likes to play more of the West Coast offense where we're going to run the ball, we're going to do play actions, and we're not going to really make our quarterback too much. And so my thing is, if Cliff Kingsbury got a job in the NFL, this guy absolutely deserves a job in the NFL if he will take it. But he has a very well-paying job at Georgia, and he's probably the best coach right now in college football. And so my candidates are the Cardinals and the Raiders. The reason why I say that is both of those teams needs a leader. Both of those teams need somebody who can come in there and can build a new culture. Both of those teams have not had culture. They need a guy who can come in, build it from the ground up, and build a new culture. And since Kirby Smart would be new to the NFL, I think those would be the two teams that would definitely accept him. And he would build, I think, an amazing culture. And he has the system to compete at the highest level in the NFL, because I think his system works. His system works. It's similar to the Niners system. It's similar to a lot of different systems in the NFL. It's not some of this rinky dink. We're going to throw 5 receivers out there and we're going to play this. It's not like Ohio State's system, which I don't believe would work at the NFL level. It's a little bit different. And that's why we don't see a ton of Georgia wide receivers come into the NFL, because a lot of times it's running backs so their system is running the ball a lot more. I think my main point is I think it would fit. So Cardinals and Raiders for Kirby Smart. The next guy before I leave here, Lincoln Riley. This guy obviously coached for a while at Oklahoma. He coached for a while, obviously, is now coaching for USC and is now head coach of a team that has the former or the current Heisman Trophy winner, Caleb Williams. Top quarterback, probably going to go number one overall in next year's draft. My thing, again, Kurt, I don't know really how good Lincoln Riley would be at the NFL level, but he is a good developer of quarterbacks. In the last 6 years, he's had 4 Heisman Trophy winners: Jalen Hurts, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Caleb Williams. All of those guys are in the NFL today. And not all of them are super big successes, but you really think about it and you realize that when Jalen Hurts went to Lincoln Riley, he was looking for a fresh start from Alabama. Any true football fan would know what happened with Jalen Hurts at Alabama. He transferred because he got his starting job stolen. And basically Lincoln Riley took him in at Oklahoma and got him a new career, and he ended up going in the second round. So my thing is, he is good at developing quarterbacks, and he's good at being a leader for a quarterback, right? And so, and another thing that kind of stands out to me is Jalen Hurts, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Caleb Williams. All of these guys have different styles of play. All of these guys have different sizes. Kyler Murray, his style of play is more outside, likes to scramble around, played backyard football. And, so, but my point is, all of these quarterbacks have different heights. They play different, they can do different things. Kyler Murray can't really throw over the middle of the field. Baker Mayfield is a gunslinger, and doesn't have as much accuracy over the middle. And so he's kind of done different. He's been able to adjust his offenses to the type of quarterback that he has. And so when you're an NFL team bringing him in, he has a great pedigree. He can work with any style of quarterback because he's worked with so many different types of quarterbacks in his coaching tenure. And he's also had success with different types of quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts was an MVP candidate. Kyler Murray was good just a few years ago. Baker Mayfield, okay, but he had a good start to his NFL career. So maybe it wasn't Lincoln Riley who completely ruined it. I mean, it might have just been the Browns who completely ruined it. We don't know. And then we obviously have Caleb Williams, who is right now on USC. So those are just a few, quarterbacks who he's developed. And obviously we'll see. But the big thing with me is here are my 2 teams that could really be fits for him. Number 1, Green Bay. And here's my theory for why Green Bay could be a fit. I know they have Matt LaFleur, but my theory is Matt LaFleur has not proven that he can develop any quarterbacks so far. And if you look at this Kyle Shanahan coaching tree, none of them have been, look at the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree right now, okay? You have Robert Saleh, right? What happened with Zach Wilson? Now, part of that was definitely Zach Wilson's fault, but he didn't develop him. You have Sean McVay. Got Matthew Stafford because he couldn't win a Super Bowl with, and he didn't develop any quarterbacks. He got Matthew Stafford. Kyle Shanahan. Obviously, Niners fans know what's been happening with Trey Lance. Not good developing. So the Kyle Shanahan tree of head coaches isn't very known for their developing of quarterbacks. And the reason why I say this about Matt LaFleur is he's having Jordan Love start for his first year. And so far, what I've heard from that Green Bay camp or from Green Bay fans is he hasn't developed Jordan Love properly, Matt LaFleur. And so if you want a guy after this year, if Matt LaFleur does not seem like he is developing and in coaching Jordan Love up properly, then my suggestion to the Green Bay Packers is they go out and get a guy like Lincoln Riley who can play, who can be a leader and can develop a different type of quarterback. And even if the Packers decide to move on from Jordan Love, Lincoln Riley can draft a new quarterback and he can coach him up and develop him. So Lincoln Riley, I feel like for any team that has a young quarterback or needs a new quarterback that is young, Lincoln Riley is the perfect fit. So Green Bay is kind of a sleeper team. Another team that would be really, really good is the Indianapolis Colts. And I know they just hired a new one, Shane Steichen. But if Steichen doesn't work out and they feel like moving on, I feel like Lincoln Riley for Anthony Richardson would be an amazing fit. So Green Bay and Indianapolis would be the two teams with young quarterbacks who have question marks. Jordan Love especially hasn't not always glowing reports. He's young. He's inexperienced. He needs somebody like Lincoln Riley. So, guys, this has been a great show. This has been actually longer than I expected it to be. I spent a little too long on Jim Harbaugh, but these are all points that I wanted to make. So hopefully you've stuck around to the end of this episode. I want to quickly remind you guys that I'm going to start doing this at the end or beginning of every episode because I think it's important to me. And I don't like to be a very pushy type of guy, but 92% of viewers that view my videos are not subscribed. And so what I mean by that is, and I have it right here, but most of the time, the people that view my videos are not subscribers. And so I want you guys to get that. I want you guys to get that number up. If we can get over 5% of subscribers viewing my videos every single week, then that would be great. So yeah, have a good rest of your day, guys. This has been Camper Report signing out.